Mother dear, may I go downtown instead of out to play and march the streets of Birmingham in a freedom march today? No, baby, no, you may not go, for the dogs are fierce and wild, and clubs and hoses, guns and jails ain't good for a little child. But mother, I won't be alone. Other children will go with me and march the streets of Birmingham to make our country free. No, baby, no, you may not go, for I fear those guns will fire. But you may go to church instead and sing in the children's choir. She has combed and brushed her night dark hair, and bathed rose petals sweet, and drawn white gloves on her small brown hands, and white shoes on her feet. The mother smiled to know her child was in the sacred place, but that smile was the last smile to come upon her face. For when she heard the explosion, her eyes grew wet and wild. She raced through the streets of Birmingham, calling for her child. She clawed through bits of glass and brick, then lifted out a shoe. Oh, here's the shoe my baby wore. But baby, where are you?
So don't go to now. I'm gonna check one too. Yeah. There you go, bro.
We're gonna get started, love. Peace and blessings, family. Before we get started, as in our tradition, we're gonna open up drumming. Spanning 3 generations, this Detroit-based company is dedicated to the study, preservation, and presentation of cultural expressions. What began in 1977 as a group focused on West African drum and dance traditions, it has expanded to include presentation of music, dance, and folklore from the Caribbean. Members engage in continuous study and travel, which supports their ability to deliver in stage performance, ritual and ceremonial engagement, education enrichment, and cultural development. The company is rooted in the community and continues to support Detroit's West African drum and dance arts and artists at large. Ladies and gentlemen, Amin Ra, drummers and dancers. did that cost you? We got world-renowned performers and artists with us tonight to celebrate. Some of y'all performers and artists, I didn't know y'all did. I was looking through your bios trying to shorten it. So if I read the bios and they're a little bit long, it's because I couldn't take stuff out. I'm like, wow, didn't know, and I didn't know that. So, but I am going to introduce our performers and artists with their bios because we are eternally grateful for their support over the years of Broadside Lotus Press, their dedication to their art and craft. Good evening, my name is Chris Rutherford. I am the chairperson for Broadside Lotus Press for the Board of Directors. Thank you. Before we get started, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the owners and staff of Trinosophes, Rebecca and Joel, for welcoming us and providing this special venue for tonight's program. We are very, very grateful for all of your support. And so if anybody here was like me and would ride past this building or see stuff on social media and didn't know how to pronounce the name, I just learned how to pronounce the name and they said they would do it for us. I've been seeing this place for years and I'm like, I can't say the name. It was like, Trinosophes. Thank you again. And our thanks to each of you for coming out tonight to celebrate this momentous occasion, to observe with us the 60th anniversary of Broadside Press, and to honor the legacy of Lotus Press. Mr. Dudley Randall, a nationally renowned Detroit poet and a reference librarian by profession, founded Broadside Press in 1965 to bring into worldwide visibility the talent and literary brilliance of African American poets. Almost single-handedly, he published the first books that brought international fame to many poets. Some of the most notable being Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, Akim Adabuti, Etheridge Knight, and Audre Lorde. Our present Broadside Press Collective is proud to continue the work of those who have carried the press forward over the years, including volunteers at the Alexander Promo Center and Mr. and Mrs. Don Vest, who are engaged in securing, preserving, and advancing the mission that Mr. Randall began by continuing to publish poetry that affirms the self-determination of African Americans and strives to meet the excellent literary standards that Mr. Randall established. And while we remember Mr. Randall's phenomenal legacy, we also want to recognize the equally significant achievement of Dr. Naomi Long Madgett. Dr. Madgett's 2012 Preston Inman Artist Award winner was the second poet laureate of the city of Detroit and founder and publisher of Lotus Press, which she ran over 40 years, publishing over 90 volumes of poetry. She published the works of Akim Adabuti, Dudley Randall, Toy Derricott, James Emanuel, Gail Jones, Bill Harris, and Oliver LeGrone, along with 2 anthologies, including the groundbreaking Adam O'Keefe, Black Women in Praise of Black Men. Dr. Madgett entrusted Lotus Press to us at Broadside when she was ready to retire, and we are deeply thankful to her. Continuing her legacy, every year we conduct the Naomi Long Madgett Poetry Award competition and publish the manuscript of the winning poet. This year, that poet is Joanne Godley, poet, writer, and physician, with her brilliant memoir in verse, How the Black Panther Fell from the Sky. This new publication will be distributed by now University of Detroit Mercy Press in February of 2026. All the members of the Board of Directors are here to welcome you this evening. Ms. Lucia Dustin, Ms. Aurora Harris, Dr. House, Mr. Aru House, and we honor our most recent former board members, Mojisola Clement and Brother Albert Ward, poet, friend, and lover of all things Detroit. May he rest in peace. Thank you again for coming out this evening, and it's time to enjoy the program. called Jessica's Poetry at Black Street. An award-winning poet, explosive performer, songwriter, playwright, and Black institution builder. Her powerful, heart-stirring poetry has taken her across the world through her books and experimental music performances. A metaphorical child of the Black arts movement, you will hear Gia Scott Heron, Sonia Sanchez in her voice. Moore is founder of Black Women Rock, the CEO of Moore Black Press Publishing House, and the director of Moore Art House. She has recorded with Nas, Common, Jose James, Jeezy, Jeff Mills, Kareem Riggins, The Last Poets, and more. The author of 6 books, including the award-winning We Want Our Bodies Back. Moore's poems dive into the heart of an audience unapologetically. A young living legend, her work is prominently featured on the 4th floor of the new Smithsonian Museum of African American History in Washington, D.C. And she has been busy all summer in front of young audiences with her first children's book, Your Crown Shines, for Ketanji Brown, Jackson, and you. She is our current Detroit Poet Laureate and was just awarded a U.S. Poet Laureate Fellowship. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jessica Care Moore.
How y'all doing, family? Beautiful room. Yes, black people. Okay. That's good. So that's the best thing about Detroit. That's why I feel safe. The safest place in the country for me. Yes. So I want to just first thank Dr. Ned, Mama Ned, Mama Ned. Hi, Dr. Bess. I love you, Hilda. For inviting me to be a part of this. So I'm going to say a couple words and then I'm going to read something and then get out the way. But I want to say that it was in the 80s when I was in high school at Frank Cody High School, when I was at the Joy Road Library, when I stumbled on an anthology called Black Poets by Dominique Randall. I was maybe in 10th grade. I had never heard of Dudley Randall. I was an A honors student in English. But I was a curious student. Intozaki Shange had entered my life via my drama teacher, Susan Story. I'm so grateful for that Black Box Theater that used to exist at Cody, and God willing, when we have a new school, it will exist again. But it changed my life. I opened the book and I found Larry Neal, and I found Dudley Randall, and I found so many writers that had never been taught before. And it changed my life, because it made me just want to find all their books and all their writing. And if not for that book, and if not for Dudley Randall, I wouldn't be here. And I do want to say for the last at least 10 years, I've been telling people that I wasn't the poet laureate. People didn't even know what a poet laureate was. They just said, if they like your poem, you're the poet laureate. So that's not what it is. I'm glad you like me, but that's not how you become the poet laureate. And so I was constantly telling people that a woman named Naomi Long Magic was a poet laureate. And she was also very much instrumental in me becoming who I am. I was a young honorable mention poetry winner at Broadside Press when I was just probably like 19 or so. And she came to a workshop. The Broadside Press would have these workshops, and I came and she was the guest speaker. And I'll never forget, she said, if you ever publish your books, make it a perfect spine. Make sure your books like the other books in the bookstore. Get an editor. She just ran it down to me. And then eventually when I became a book publisher in 1997 in a place called Brooklyn, New York, everything that Naomi Long Magic said to me, I listened and I followed her direction. And I'm here still 30 years later. You know, I've been publishing for quite some time, but I'm happy to say that I am the 3rd poet laureate and not the 1st. The people keep saying it. And I'm honored to be a poet laureate in front of people who are not only poets, also Black institution builders like I am. Thank you. That's it. Because we don't teach our own history inside to our babies, so people don't know, and grown-ups don't even know. So I'm always correcting people. So thank you to Broadside Press for being, and Lotus Press for being a great example. And this poem I wrote originally from Mary Baraka. Today I will give it to Broadside Press. Are you a shout or a holler, a 3-bar 12 or 8-bar blues? Depending on what year you enter, this language, this atmosphere will hold the sunlight and daybreak and heartache. This is a blues for the anchored dreamer, a work song, a black nerd spiritual, a whisper, a code, a declaration of sovereignty, an antebellum blues, a 125th Street bumble beneath your walk still felt the after hours, the entrance point, uptown, the boogie down Bronx. Maybe your head nod is 50 years old. Maybe you at 1968 soul bird, 3 feet high and rising at 1989. Hip-hop royalty, Western real lyrics, Dave the Plug. The stakes is still high here. Dilla, Tribe, KRS, Big L, Run DMC, Ladybug, Mecca, Bahamadia, Left Eye, Pharaoh, Outkast, Killer Mike, T.I., Black Star, the cassette tape, the breakdance, the graffiti, the DJ, Botin, DMX, Zaki, Morrison, Sekou, Cindy-Ada, Betty Davis, Ruby, and Ozzy. No dead ghosts. It's in the water. It's in the secret handshake. It's in the undertow. It's in the forgotten stories. Welcome, ancestor Amiri Baraka. Somebody burn the sage. Disguise yourself as anything but yourself. Welcome, survivors. Annette House, Aurora Harris, Bill Harris. Drummers, poets, architects of sound, beatbox, moonwalk, hopscotch, double dutch, just enough. Piece of a man. Gil Scott Heron lives in the lines of our hands. No dead ghosts. Poets of the apocalypse now, torch bearers for the forgotten. Shout out to the liars, much love to the letter writers, the organizers, the rebellions, Detroit, Chicago, Newark. How will you new Negroes find your freedom without Google? There are no fares to pay, no one owns any shares, there's no board of directors, no new age gatekeepers, no NFTs. We're not interested in white silence or heroes for that matter. We are not creative abolitionists, black ass French Cadillacs. We are freedom fighters. We do not lie down our bodies in the name of the Holy Ghost. We are not ghosts. We just the ones that never left. Refuse to be plowed over, renamed, rebranded. We ban all words beginning with R-E except revolution. New is a code word for erasure. New is a code word for erasure. Our Father, who art, who draw, who paint, who resurrect colors into black cannon, into spray paint ammunition. They kingdom come, where you from? Who's the water girl? Where's the offerings for Yemen, y'all? When the monarchy gonna melt down? When the monarchy gonna melt down all that middle passage crown? Everything they stole from Africa into bright, pretty pearls for all our illuminated daughters of the diaspora. Now that's a Jane Cortez blues poem. We're the Spitfire spirituals, the poems are the ones who did not go peacefully. We didn't ask the water to save us, but water knew. All these 5 mermaids aboard Atlantic Black in 1619, Anina Simone, no drag, and held captive at the bottom of a nightmare ship. We don't want to hear how you saved us. I'm not interested in your gaze. You're surprised I'm not here to entertain you? These blues never leave you. This blackness will never betray you. We here, Detroit, to the finish line. It's all finish lines, baby. Till eternity. No dead ghosts. Long live Naomi Long Magic. Long live Dudley Randall. Long live Amiri Baraka. Long live Broadside Press. Thank you.
Love you, Jessica.
Love you dearly. I remember, that's why I love Detroit, man. We so much family. I remember when Jessica moved back here from Atlanta, and she had King with her, and she had to go on stage. She was like, "Hey, brother, hold my paper." So when I see King now, I'm just like, you know, bro, I've been since you was a newborn. I've been holding you in my heart. He just look at me with his beautiful smile. All blessings to King as well. That's my man. Before we move on to our Flint Poet Laureate, Samaj Brown, I just want to acknowledge that the food is ready, so you can come and go in and out as you please. And I also wanted to acknowledge our caterer, AQ, African, Asian, American cuisine, Chefs Chona and Emeka. So I hope you enjoy. We also acknowledge Phil DeVest in the reading of the DeVest Equipment tonight. And our past presidents and treasurer, I think, from when I took over this work, Sondai and Linda Way Lester, they are here with us tonight. Thank you so much for your stewardship for all the years. good hands. So I'm so glad you all are here with us tonight. Samaj Brown cultivates the marriage between poetry and analysis, driven by an amalgam of modalities, science, art, math, music. Her focus is dissolution, obsolete paradigms, while fostering and building new philosophies and realities of wholeness. She is Flint, Michigan's inaugural Poet Laureate, recipient of Academy of American Poets Poet Laureate Fellowship Award, an essayist, university lecturer, playwright, editor, and author of poetry prose memoir, Bleeding Fire. Tap the eternal spring of regenerative light. Broadside Lotus Press. Ms. Brown is the founding director of Black Dandelion, Convergent Voice. Samaj is the recipient of the 2024 Poetry Foundation Poetry Program Partnership and Innovation Award. Her work has been published widely, including American Poet, Language Arts Journal of Michigan, and Poet in the House of Broadside Production. Ladies and gentlemen, Samaj Brown.
Good evening, everyone. It is so wonderful to be here. If it were not for Broadside Press, founded in 1965, I was 5 years old. So that lets you know, okay? No more guessing. And at 5 years old, my mother, the legendary Betsy L. James, taught me how to read on those Broadside Press new publications. So be cool, like Gwendolyn Brooks and all the others. So it's in me, and I'm so grateful to be here with you. So grateful. And so what's been going on in Flint? In fact, all of Flint says, hello. They said you go in, so you might not be able to make it, but tell the good people of Detroit, hello. And so, yeah, what up, though? So in 2021, I wrote a poem, well, maybe it's 2020, I wrote a poem called Black Dandelion. And that poem has mitotic abilities, like cell division. It keeps dividing, and has taken me and students everywhere, from Detroit, from Flint to Togo to California. And so what happened is the Academy of American Poets took that poem and sent it out all over the world and all over the country. And I received these compelling letters from students. And I thought the letters were going to be just cute, nice, we like the dandelion, but no, they were about intergenerational genocide. They were about extreme bullying. And they were about something so compelling. I said, these voices of these young people really need to be amplified. And so I developed Black Dandelion Convergent Voice, because it's from people from all over the world and country. And so now Black Dandelion this spring was here in Detroit. Dr. Mama Anib and Professor Aurora did a fantastic workshop called Flowers Against Fascism with Black Dandelion. And that was so fabulous and wonderful. And then it was also on the east side of Detroit, and it's been in schools, and social workers are using it for therapy. And people are teaching geometry with it. And my students say, Ms. Brown, did you know when you wrote this poem this was going to happen? I said, no. I said, I'm a student. And so, just like you're learning, I'm learning. And so I'm going to do one poem tonight. It's going to be Black Dandelion. Age 4. I witnessed my first mowdown. Twinkling ground stars cut by a murderous lawnmower. Feeling the blade, I fell, curled like a snail in grief. 12 full moons folded into spring. Perennial promises prevailed. Beads Oh, the bees, they celebrated the return of the dandelions in a skirt of twirling yellow bliss. Flowering bouffant mirrored my spiky little afro. Jagged edge lion tooth leaves pay tribute to my snackatoo smile. Me and my freedom fighting flowers frolicked to survive the scissoring, the up-digging, the poisoning. Warning signs hovered like low-hanging clouds. No blooming allowed. Blossoms will be prosecuted. These brave plants grew just for me, grew in spite of a society that favored a monochromatic landscape. 1965. Mr. Brother Malcolm X was assassinated. Big word for a pre-kindergarten. I was convinced he must have been a dandelion. Reverend King too, and the Johnson boy. The Johnson boy who lived down the street, that way. The Johnson boy was shot by the police for growing in a monochromatic landscape. Train wheels off, bike riding across insecure cement. Oh, I pedaled that bumpy path, waving solidarity to each surviving sunburst noggin, each fulfilling the promise to fertilize and ornament lawns and souls with lemon-drop hope. Dandelions, their art of endurance and escape, transforming into pearl puffs, floating with ephemeral intention, carrying the spirit of the weed. 13 full moons folded into July. I am a proud weed. Yes, I made that shocking declaration in the pulpit, Youth Sunday, as I was giving my speech on David and Goliath. I did an impromptu improvisation of dandelion dogma. We are black dandelions. We will never be destroyed. We grow the power of goodness for generations into the future. I yet remember the hat-framed faces of the pious. Oh, some were so amused, and others were mortified. Thank you.
I love this homecoming. So many different folks, artists, and performers I've been watching for the last 30 or so years, here and there. Back when we were all young together, hanging out till 4 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm home by now. If anybody's doing poetry after 8, I just don't go. It's got to be afternoon. And so I want to bring up, initially we had hoped that Dr. Magid's daughter Jill Boyer, who was supposed to be here, And unfortunately, she was not able to make it. We thought she was going to be found. But we do have a relative, of Dr. Magic. And we would like to invite her up to say a few words on behalf of Dr. Naomi Long Magic Detroit's second poet laureate. Ladies and gentlemen, Bertha Woodruff.
Good evening. As he's mentioned, my name is Bertha Jenkins Woodruff, and I'd like to let you know that Dr. Naomi Long Magic was my godmother. She was a remarkable godmother. Naomi's daughter, as you've heard, Jill, who is from Boyer from California, was unable to come. So she gave me a call and requested that I say a few words on her behalf. Jill would like to thank you for this extraordinary recognition of Broadside Lotus Press. As you know, and it's been said earlier, Dudley Randall founded Broadside Press in 1965. Naomi Long Magic founded Lotus Press in 1972. They were both very good friends who supported and respected each other. Broadside Press and Lotus Press merged in 2015, and what a wonderful legacy. Naomi loved Detroit and was honored to serve as the second Detroit Poet Laureate, following Dudley Randall, who was the first. She was appointed by Detroit Mayor Dennis Archer in 2001, I was there, and served until 2020 for 19 years. Now the torch has been passed on to Jessica Care-Moore, which we heard earlier, who is doing a phenomenal job serving as the third Detroit Poet Laureate. Congrats to Samaj Brown, whom I met a few years ago, Flint's Poet Laureate Extraordinaire. Jill says thank you for this special celebratory event. For further information on Naomi Long Magic and Lotus Press, you can access the website at naomilongmagic.net. Also, Wayne State University sells a number of Naomi's books, poetry books. I have some here. She has 11 altogether, as well as her autobiography. At age 97, Naomi signed this book, her final book, You Are My Joy and Pain. And this is definitely a treat if you have not seen it. And she signed it, and a few weeks later, she passed away. Naomi used to carry these connected items around with her. I would drive her to a lot of her events where she had to read, and this is like a Bible to her. Connected Islands, this is another jewel, if you haven't had that. Octavia, Guthrie and Beyond, was used in Detroit Public Schools as a must-read. They had to read this in their English classes. And I have mostly all of her books. I still have, I have 7. I'm hoping to purchase the remaining others so that I can have all 11. Special congrats go out to jazz artist Miriam Hayden for receiving the 2025 Preeminent Award, Artist Award. I saw earlier. I've had the pleasure of knowing Miriam for about 30 years through my daughter, the vocalist, Carmen. Naomi received this special award in 2012. Jill also wanted to congratulate Dr. Joanne Godley, who has been mentioned earlier, for the 2025 Broadside Lotus Press winner of the annual Naomi Long Magic Poetry Award. To conclude, I would like to acknowledge Naomi's Detroit family. I don't know if any of them were able to come here. They're my cousins. Stepdaughter Kathy Andrews, granddaughter Amani Marshall, and her husband, Dr. Maurice Marshall, and children, granddaughter Risa Brown, as well as the family friend Lucia Duskin. Congratulations and success to Broadside Lotus Press. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Woodruff. So next we bring greetings from one of our partners. Over the last 2 decades, Broadside Lotus Press has enjoyed a very rewarding partnership with the University of Detroit Mercy, specifically the Dudley Randall Center for Print Culture still exists today. I would like to introduce to you all Dr. Rosemary Weatherston. Rosemary Weatherston is an associate professor of English at the University of Detroit Mercy, where she serves as the director of the Dudley Randall Center for Print Culture, director of UVM Press, and faculty advisor for the University's Student Arts Journal. She teaches courses and publishes in 20th century U.S. literature, narrative medicine, health, humanities, and women's and gender studies. She's also a curriculum consultant and instructor for the Henry Ford Health System. I just want to say that without this partnership, a lot of this may not have gone on, and so we are eternally grateful to UVM and Dr. Rosemary Weatherston's support over the years. It's been 20 years for me involved with Broadside, and she's been there every step of the way from the publishing of Different Image, Aurora's book, a number of other books that we've done, and so we are eternally grateful. Rosemary?
I'm so pleased to be here, and I am the University of Detroit Mercy that is eternally grateful for the partnership that we've had an opportunity to spend with Broadside Press and Broadside Lotus Press, and so I'm so honored to be in front of you. Basically, my work is the word, and bringing young people and our hospital healers into the power of the word. And a lot of what I have learned about that power has come from the examples put forth by Dudley Randall and Broadside Press and Lotus Press. At UDM, our great tradition extends almost 60 years itself. Dudley Randall was a reference librarian and our poet in residence back in the late 60s and the early 70s. We still, every year, run the student poetry contest that bears his name that he founded. We teach in our classes for me next week. The extraordinary foundational roles that Broadside and Lotus Press have played in U.S. literatures, in African diaspora literatures, in global literatures. Our library where he worked is a national literary landmark in reference and acknowledgement of his contributions. And as Chris mentioned, in 2000, we founded the Dudley Randall Center for Print Culture in order to honor him and to carry his work forward in the ways that we could. It is an electronic working space, publishing platform where faculty and students and community members come together to create multimedia and word publications. And I think personally, I became a part of this story back in 2000 and had the extraordinary pleasure of being invited to be the director of the Dudley Randall Center for Print Culture and to begin to be in partnership with Broadside Lotus Press. And over those years, we have been collaborators on events such as book launches and community readings and Broadside Press Poets Theater. Someone just asked if we should start that up again, and I think that we absolutely should. And through both the Center for Print Culture and the University of Detroit Mercy Press, we have had the honor of co-publishing some extraordinary poetry projects, such as the award-winning anthology, A Different Image, The Legacy of Broadside Press, a collection by Professor Aurora Harris, Solitude of 5 Raccoons, and Dr. Gloria Nim's collection of poetry, medicine, new and selected poems. And we are incredibly excited to take forward our partnership by co-publishing the Naomi Long Magic Award books of poetry each year. So we are so grateful to be here tonight. I'm so grateful to be here, so grateful to be a part of this legacy. And when I was thinking about that legacy, I got a really profound sense of how much we need the type of vision that Dudley Randall and Broadside Press and Lotus Press have been putting forward for 60 years. We need a vision of the word as a vital art form that's intimately linked and connected to self-determination. We need their vision of publishing as a vehicle for community building and for cultural critique. I teach young people, and they're so hungry for some model, some roadmap about how to bring art and community and advocacy and the word into social change, into something that can make a difference. And I am desperate for those examples as well. And so when I say I come to this evening with gratitude, I have to say it's an urgent gratitude for how much we're going to need the visions that are available in our hands and are being built every day by the poets and activists and scholars and community members that are here today. So I just want to say thank you for everything. We're so looking forward to the next decade and the next decade. And so with that, I just invite you to joyful celebration for everything that has come and everything that we will need to come. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. So, that's not even the performance side of our evening. I do want to let you know there will be an intermission if you want to grab some food then. Also, to be able to check out the book market. Wonderful, wonderful poets. But we're going to get started with our celebration of Detroit poetry and jazz. So, our first poet this evening, Rosemary Wilson, also known as One Single Rose, is an award-winning poet and playwright, spoken word artist, singer, songwriter, actress, filmmaker, author of 3 self-published poetry collections, Nice and Naughty Chapbooks. Rosemary is the first poet to be filmed in Motown's infamous Studio A, and the first Motown mic performance artist of the year. She is also the first poet published under Broadside Lotus Press merger. Debuting in Detroit as an actor, she has performed nationally and internationally in a few amazing productions. Her notable performances include singing the national anthem at the Detroit Pistons, Motor City Cruise and Michigan Raptors games, Motown's Museum Tiny Porch, 116th NAACP Convention, ACT-SO Performance Poetry Masterclass Facilitator. She's also been on TMZ Live, commentary as a cast member, and has performed in Nairobi, Kenya, St. Lucia, Athens, Greece, as well as a one-year tour in Europe. She is currently the Poet Laureate for the Pitton International Film Festival based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, One Single Rose.
And it is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here celebrating 60 years of Broadside Lotus Press. Can you give us some love? As a result of me becoming involved with Broadside Lotus Press as the first winner of Motown Mike Slam, so many firsts have I experienced as a result of that connection with Broadside and the Motown Museum, and it's just all love. And as a result of all of that, I have learned from Broadside Press to be fearless and unapologetic with my pen. So as such, I go around and I perform whatever my words are welcome, and they want me here to use today. So since we're all here together in this space, and we're going to be a community, can I get you guys to help me out with a few of my pieces before I get on up out of here? Because I'm actually late for a flight. But I could not be here. So when this rose goes up in the air, if you know what comes next, just give it to me. Cool? Cool? You'll know. So I'm just going to do just a little something for Broadside Lotus Press, if you can join me. It's your anniversary. It's your anniversary. Y'all know the song. Anniversary. It's your anniversary. competition. You can see it on the Broadside. Well, until I leave, I'm taking it with me. Sorry. It's called Motown Blues. It is a semi-autobiographical piece that I penned for the competition. Didn't know that I was even going to enter. I went because Sparrow was like, come on up here, show some love, and I did. And he's like, get on the mic, share a poem. I'm like, no, I just came to support. But obediently, I shared and ended up placing in the competition. So if you guys hear anything in this piece that you remember from Motown, can you just do like this in the air, whatever your heart desires. It's called Motown Blues. My papa was a rolling stone. Mama found out what's going on when money got tight, then heaven sent truth from above. She heard it through the grapevine that daddy's been playing hooky from work out all night long on cloud nine, dancing in the street with some 2-bit super freak. It's a shame. Daddy was supposed to be mama's endless love, the sunshine of her life. It just makes me want to holler. I thought there was nothing like the real thing, but it was just my imagination running away with me. Love is superstition, signed, sealed, and delivered on the tears of a client. Now mama's uptight, coming in the city blues, upset she married a playboy that keeps her hanging on. What becomes of the broken hearted though? Ooh, baby, baby. In this case, war. The hunter gets captured by the game. Mama loaded our shotgun. Her fingertips hot on the trigger. Sights on daddy. In a ball of confusion, she screamed, there's nowhere to run. I'm leaving here. Oh, you really got a hold on me, but I'ma keep on trucking, baby. Now it's time I shop around. Neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye, but sugar pie, honey bunch, I can't help myself. Dear God, I just wish it would rain. Release this old heart of mine before it sinks in that man's quicksand. I second that emotion, Mom, but please stop in the name of love before you break my heart. My whole world ended the moment you left me. You're a brick house, my girl, 3 times a lady, more than she'll ever be. Someone's looking out for me, watch out for you. So reach out, come to me. I'll cruise your heart into higher ground, cause ain't no mountain high enough. Smiling faces sometimes don't tell the truth, and daddy's was really saying something, Ma. So look, I'm coming out too. I'm for real. Pops can't ever be my guy again. I want you back, Mama. Come and get these memories. Lock them away. Throw away the key. It's time to move on. I pray you never have to sing the same old song again. But please, just don't leave me this way. One single rose, no stem. Of what I call flyku. What's a flyku? I hear you asking in my head, but you didn't say it out loud. A flyku is my spin on haiku. So I have a 1955 Remington Writer typewriter that sat in my backyard, in my garage for like 2 years. Something hit me in a dream, pull out the typewriter, buy some stationery, and create poems. So I was obedient. I started to create inspirational phrases and haiku based on one-word prompts from an audience member. You come give me a word, and I form a haiku based off that word and the energy that you represent, or that you present. And before I knew it, I had over 400. Put about 125 in this book, so I will read what lies on the page. If you give me one page number from 1 to 113, because it gets a little spicy in the end. If you want the spice, I will sell it to you. Take it home with you.
110.
110.
Somebody likes spice.
Let's see, page 110. And see if you can guess what word they have in. Oh, this is in the, oh no, the F they didn't section, but I'll read what's here. Because I'm a weirdest poet, okay. The words, I love you, aren't carte blanche for mistreatment. They're a goddamn verb. Next number. 24. 24? Okay.
Was the word carte blanche?
next year, you wrong. And before I get on off here, you guys can repeat my personal favorite. Love and abundance. Will trump hate on any day. Make love great again. 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 Thank you.
Rosemary. She took a video. We were up in Idlewild, Michigan at the Trinosophes Festival. It was the first time my daughter just graduated from U of M Ann Arbor with a master's in fine arts dance. And so we were in Idlewild, Trinosophes, and they had kayaks and stuff. It was a beautiful time. I go to Idlewild often, but it was the first time me and my daughter had been in a program together. I'm seeing her go. She watched me all my life, and then they asked us both to be a part of the program. I talked about Broadside Lotus history, and she did her performance and talked about her master's thesis. And Rosemary took a nice little video of us kayaking on the lake while we were taking a break. And the sun was going down, and she said, "Oh, look at Daddy and your daughter." And she sent in a video. It was one of the things that was awesome. Thank you again, Rosemary. So, we got another world-renowned person coming up. Where is he? Joel Floyd Green is a two-time winning Detroit-based poet, author and event curator. A Spirit of Detroit and 2022 Gilda Award winner, Joel was the long-running host of Detroit's iconic Cafe Mahogany Poetry Night. And has shared the stage with acts as diverse as The Roots, Pharrell, Lettucey, Big Sean, Saul Williams, and the Detroit Red Wings. He has also acted as Master of Ceremony at events for Fiat Chrysler Corporation, United Way, One of the Black Men of America, Inside Out Detroit, Partnership for a Drug-Free Detroit, United Way, and the Music Hall Center for Performing Arts. As a former director of the Music Hall Center's Words Rhymes of the D outreach program. He has held workshops and performances in over 80 schools in the Metro Detroit area and beyond. Author of 5 collections of poetry, Joel is currently creative writing instructor at Mariners Inn, a shelter and treatment center located in Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, Joel Floyd Green.
Hello. When people reach your bios, you gotta stand by like you're not thinking about it or anything. Oh man, it's an honor to be here today. I want to thank Mama and Nev for inviting me. There you go. Hey, how you doing? I love you so much. I appreciate you so much. Broadside Lotus Press. My first introduction, of course, was Black Poets, and then of course it was after that. Fun fact, it was Bill O'Doherty's Safari in African Cooking. And I came across it at John King. I bought it. I was like, I'm in my 20s. I'm gonna start cooking. I ain't cook shit for that book, but I wish I did. But I was like, I'm feeling froggy. I want to even cook some stuff. So I was like, I bought it and just sat around looking cool forever. But I did read a lot of it, and it was a beautiful thing to have in my house. And so that was my second intro to Broadside Lotus Press. But I just want to say, like, their legacy of excellence and publishing and putting on for Black poets is amazing, and it's needed. And I'm just really grateful to be here today. So thank you for having me.
So I was here, and I remember, I was here, so I remember when downtown was dark. The people also. The sidewalks were bare and the storefronts advertised wigs and gator shoes and dive hats and pink ties. The hangouts were hidden. The eating was cheap. The appreciation way deep for creatives like us when this grit was a way of life. It wasn't a color card, wasn't a t-shirt, wasn't a slogan, wasn't a tattoo. I was here. I remember. You can't tell me shit. I was here. I used to catch them cabs. That's right.
I used to walk down Grand River. I used to hop that next to all the Hamilton where we came first. Just trying to meet up with like minds who got there just like me. Blah, I was here. I did the art. We made the work. We set this whole thing up. We passed the torch to our cuz, our kids, our neighbors, not the visitors, not the rich, not the occupier, new occupants. Blah, I was here. So I remember when Midtown was narrow.
Yes.
And the fun was so different, it was poor. It was inexpensive. I was here before my elders were displaced. And the homeless were erased. I remember something rugged yet gentle that made me who I am. It made this black man with a black and white cardigan progress possible when Bell Loud and Coney Island was the only option at the late night escapades. Blah, I was here. So I remember the smell of sewers, the steam on my steps. I'll never forget. Because I was present, I was here, so I'll remember.
Yes.
I'm not gonna be a whole 5 minutes. Y'all mind if we read some short ones real quick? That's cool. Whatever. Cool. Short ones. I woke up with my mind on the Mason-Dixon. I think I dreamt about a line that you leap across, hit the air, let the wind shake slavery off, and when you land, you're up north. And up north, we're free. But I was born up north with something north for me. I was born up north with something north for me. I was born up north. I woke up with my mind on that Mason-Dixon. I think I dreamt about this line that you leap across, hit the air, and let the wind shake slavery off, and when you land, you're up north. And up north we're free, but we was born up north with something north for we. We was born up north with something north for we. We was born up north. Shout out to our poet laureate Jessica Caramore over there. I love you, Jessica. Looking good today, Jessica. And Mama Marion, by the way. Marion Hayden, I love you too. I kind of love you so much, I ain't gonna spring that on you right now. Next time I see you. All right, another short one. I threw myself into myself to find myself and found myself awaiting me. Impatiently with tapping fingers, shaking knees, welcome, finally, us here inside of we. One more time. I threw myself into myself to find myself, and I found myself awaiting me. Impatiently with tapping fingers, shaking knees, welcome, finally, us here inside of we. I wasn't gonna do this for my black folks. I love y'all. I see some schools that want to dig deep into that real Detroit thing, so here we go. If I were to talk about the corridor, I know that narrow, suffocating stroll where streetwalkers in neon clothes or threads would walk up Cass with them tricky, funny goals, the darkness of it all still. 20-something years later, the danger of parking on the side streets still lurking, the late-night quest to visit main state buildings with shiny new names that reflect this new village, this commune of consumers with expensive bicycles. Ha! I just want to be accepted. Not as new, as authentic to the black man with the jitney before the Uber, before the Lyft, it was part of this economy, before that dichotomy that's half caught the knots, the other half caught the gots. And I won't forget the goats, the characters, the dark rooms, the deep bass, the sale sign slapping a fat ass of a ghost that cannot be revived, only replaced. I'm familiar with all the haunts and all the crazy wild stories that took place. Oh, kinfolk. This corridor, I know, spin me around, blindfolded off any street off Cass, and I swear to God, I'm gonna find my narrow ass way back home. Hi. Or perhaps maybe I'll find my way to the Bronx bar. Maybe that's preferable for the drowning of the sorrow thoughts of friends I used to know. When all this shiny, it was raw, it was gritty, it was fun, it was shitty, it was exciting. See, I walk past them bars, and I see the white and the black faces now older, still nameless, still way cooler than me. Hi. A punk song from a homeboy crazy ass Dan. For East Palmer and Woodward. I regret that we never played chess on your old glass countertop. Ha! And I miss our conversations about our city, its rapid, weird, strange changes, the displacement of the seniors, the ordaining of the Caesar, and the quickening of fever, pitching ideas over wood oven pizza, us fools. We should have thought bigger when the land was cheaper. Our collective attention skewed eastward. This was our sacred raw speck of dust on that palm of Michigan. And on that spectrum, we're living microscopic, simple dreams, simple sins. But now, 20-something years later, on my 40-something birthday, I remember being 21. And now I have kids. And I consume these bougie-ass conveniences, Starbucks, and $8 macaroons and things I never thought that would come high. You couldn't call it progress. Me, I'm gonna call that shit a show thing, wide open for the right ones with that paper and green. This is for my brother though. Jean jacket, 1,000,000 buttons though. The king of cast adorned is his crown. So to all the young misfits, promise to enjoy it. Treat each single alley like it's sacred, and please, for the love of God, pick up your friggin' garbage. Pop in those new pop-ups and go ahead and hop on that Gentry train. But respect that bumpy road underneath that bike lane. Cass Corridor, the original name.
I love y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama and Dad. I love you, Victoria. I love you so much. Thank y'all. Thank you for the
We'll move into a little music now, as we normally do at Broadside Lotus press events. Born in Detroit, crucible of jazz, Marion Hayden is one of the nation's finest proponents of the acoustic bass. Mentored by master trumpeter Marcus Belgrave, Hayden began performing jazz at the age of 15. She has performed with such diverse luminaries as Bobby McFerrin, Nancy Wilson, Jerry Allen, Regina Carter, Steve Perret, Lester Boyd, David Allen Greer, James Carter, Hank Jones, Bobby Hutchison, Larry Willis, Vanessa Rubin, Sheila Jordan, Mulgrew Miller, Annie Ross, and many, many others. She is co-founder of the touring jazz ensemble Straight Ahead, the first of all woman jazz ensemble signed to Atlantic Records. I tell y'all, this is free, y'all. Remember, this is free. She is the member of Detroit International Jazz Festival, All-Star Ambassadors Touring Ensemble. Marion Hayden is also a 2025 Crescent Eminent Artist. Thank you. Winner, ladies and gentlemen, Marion Hayden, Jazz Legacy.
Just a little, thank you so much, Chris, and just want to let you all know that we are so honored to be able to be here. Thank you so much for Dr. Gloria House, Mama Annette, for having us. And congratulations for 60 years of Broadside Lotus Press. This is fabulous, is it not?
Yeah.
It is fabulous. So first I want to introduce this fine artist I have with me today. You know, one of the things that I love so much about Detroit is that, as I always say, in the way of a sports vernacular, we have a deep bench, and the generations keep coming. And so what we have here with us is 2 generations, and at least 2 of them are actually related. So I would like to introduce you on piano. My brother of many years, we worked together in the Roy Brooks Ensemble and many other ensembles, the great Zion Israel on piano. And then carrying on Zion's wonderful musical legacy is his daughter. She is, if you listen to Channel 4 and you hear the Go For It, she is the Go For It girl, the voice of Channel 4, a fantastic vocalist and songwriter in her own right. Please give it up for Isis DeMille. We have a son, as they say, my son with a son. He has different parents, but he certainly is my son. I've known him since he was probably about 15 or 14 years old. And on top of that, he grew up down the street from my parental home on Fullerton. He's someone who was also my student at University of Michigan. please give it up in the tradition of in the tradition of the great flute players from Detroit. Please give it up to James Russell. So Yusuf Latif's legacy is still alive right here in Detroit. And then we have on drums one that I actually did, it's totally related to a young drummer who was also a composer and a band leader in his own right. And he was also a student at the University of Michigan out there. But please give it up to Tariq Gardner, my youngest son. So we're going to start our program with a tribute to one of our great American writers, Langston Hughes, the great Langston Hughes. And Langston Hughes wrote a poem back in 1921 called The Negro Speaks in Riddles. And we would like to do now a wonderful musical reimagining of that piece by one of our living jazz legacy performers, a man named Gary Bartz. And this is called I Know Rivers. I Know Rivers.
Russell Woods.
Russell Woods.
Rivers
thank you very much. We'd like to go ahead with our poet program. I think the next person on our agenda is the fabulous Leslie Reeves. Is Leslie Reeves here? Sorry, Chris, I shouldn't be taking your space, but we had one nice piece planned for you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, Broadside Lotus family, Detroit family. Hey, Mommy Best, how you be? Hi, looking good. I love your saying. She always says to me, I'm too young to be so old. Okay, so. Like Marion said, let me see, okay, how should I introduce this? So, I do want to make a little connection here, because when I first met Dudley Randall at the Alexander Crummell Center in Highland Park, okay, and so I was also privileged in the last few years to work with Marion Hayden on her Highland Park City of Ogun suite. Yes. And one of the things that I learned about Highland Park is that it was known for its butterflies, its monarch butterflies. And so the piece that we're going to do, this is so funny, the piece is called Monarch's Path. This is Marion's music and my poem, Mother, Father, Garden, Shears, which talks about another type of migration. But Marion calls this Mother, Father, Garden, Shears, and I call it Monarch's Path. So it's all love. Let me see. Do I need my glasses? I think I might. Excuse me while I confer. overgrowth on the head, availing the ears to blues conversation, mixed plankingly with automotive sludge and temperance speak, an undercurrent of go down Moses-ness, the butter of mother's hand, applying Vaseline or hair pomade or bacon grease. Together, me and Daddy rinse dirt from collard greens in the kitchen where I wince when his arm brushes mine. I can feel his arm that picked cotton in thick acres at the exact same age when my own arm was arched for finger painting and drawing hopscotch on city streets. And that was my first encounter with Broadside Press, not knowing there was a broadside. For those of you who may not know what a broadside is, the poem was printed on a broadside, and it was in, I believe it was my 6th grade classroom, Mr. Oshevsky, and it was the weirdest poem I had ever seen, and it bothered me every day. And the funny thing is, we didn't study it, but it hung on the wall. And I was so fixated on this poem. And finally, I said to my teacher, I said, who wrote that? A kid? Because it was I heard Robert Frost and all this kind of Christina Rossetti. And he was like, no, that's by Gwendolyn Brooks. He said, if you're interested, you can go to the library and find some more poems of hers. That's what I did. I went to the library, got some books out, read a bunch of poems. I didn't even understand it, but I loved the way she used language. It's just awesome. But anyway, I am a second generation Broadside Press poet, and I say that because, yes, there's so many things I want to say. I got to wrap this up. I'm only supposed to use so many minutes. But, You know, when you grow up in Detroit, when you grow up in a place where something is your norm and you don't know how extraordinary it is, you know? And so, just like, you know, with Motown, and so there's so many people in Detroit who was going to be the next group. Well, there were a lot of poets in Detroit, and they're going to be the next, you know. They're on next. We grew up in this rich black literary stew, okay? And so, you know, and I read that Broadside Press, Lotus Press, and Third World Press were responsible for publishing so many black poets during a particular period in time. And I just, you know, it blows my mind because it's hard to imagine what our world would be like right now had none of those voices had an opportunity to be published. So just think about that. Look, and since I'm not as young as I was, you know, I'm thinking about these kind of things differently now. But anyway, I brought show and tell. Just a few public service announcements. Oh, I brought one of my favorite Lotus Press books, one of my favorite books of all time, The Watermelon Dress, Paulette Childress White. I still love this book. And it was my first time seeing a book that was also illustrated by the poet. Riot illustrated, the cover illustration is Cleavy Taylor's. On the inside, there's also a color illustration of a painting by Jeff Donaldson, one of the Afro-Cobra artists from Chicago. I mean, well, 1969, this is when Gwendolyn Brooks decided, hey, I don't need my work to be published on these other presses. I'm throwing my hat in with, all right, Detroit. I'm going to see Dudley Randall. I want him to publish my work. Okay, so as a second generation Broadside poet, that means I got to come on board when Don and Hilda Vest were at the helm. In fact, I met them at the Alexander Crump Center, along with so many other poets and people, activists. That's how I got a chance to have my little book published. My baby picture on the back. They also published Hipology, an anthology of Horizons in Poets. Sorry. These are like documents of literary history. Of course, Lotus Press's Adam of Ife. Y'all, I brought some. You know, I live in Chicago now, and I was like, Leslie, you can't take all this stuff, and you're only supposed to speak for so long, but I'm sorry. I had to say a few things. Reflections. This is an oral history of Detroit that was also published with the second generation poets. Rayfield Waller, Sharon Smith Knight, Al Ward, and many more. Okay? Oral histories. Wasn't just poetry. Okay. So now the piece that I would like to share is about my first encounter as someone who said, I want to be a poet. And let me make sure there aren't any other references that I need to clarify. All right. In a room in a house, he builds a doorway, and poets walk through it. Dreamer poets and would-be poets and working class poets. Prolific poets,
the seasoned and the fresh, and those who aspire to write a modest handful of wondrous odes. In a room. In a room, in a house, he fashions words and paper. He smokes cigarettes while making choices about where to pour his love, what to mix it with, how much brick to cement bricks of determination. In this way, he makes for others a gift, something no one made for him, he made for us. But he might say that his parents, Arthur and Ada Viola, gave him industry, gave him race pride, gave him God and Du Bois, Tennyson and Browning, books and butter and siblings. Before he was on his own, the worldly smells and the rhythms of war in the streets, the battles of the times, the grease of the foundry, the meditations found in books and corridors of knowledge, rooms of sonnets and Jeremiads and Negro folk songs, in a room in a house. Dudley Randall builds a doorway. He builds a publishing house with muscles made of heredity, passion, and will. He builds an institution, and poets walk to it and through it. Dreamer poets, would-be poets, and working hard poets, prolific poets, the seasoned and the fresh, and those who aspire to write a modest handful of wondrous odes. Some Sunday afternoons in the 1970s, my mother would be visited by one of her friends, who sometimes wore a red, black, and green button with strong black letters that read, BP. It was jarring, pinned to her church clothes. My mother prepared a dignified tea that they sipped while her friends sometimes shared what I did not know then were her tender, handmade verses. The music of her reading polished the tabletop like a can of lemon fresh pledge, and an old cotton baby diaper turned to dust cloth. During those same years, dusky blue, orange, brown autumn mornings, or was it winter? Was it spring? I rode the Woodward bus to Cass Technical High School, where often I spent hours writing poems or love letters to my latest crush in brown, juicy cursive script. But in Mr. Tarmina's class, his interpretive reading class, he said, if you're looking for some good material for your assignments, there's always Broadside Press. They publish poetry right here in Detroit. We found some of that terrible badness, that powerful, powerful terribleness in pages upon pages in Vaughn's bookstore. Bad and black as our history, our music, our 1970s funky fashions, and here I am world, come and get all of this you've been waiting for attitude. Oh, you mean there's some poets writing the color of our talk, the color of our thoughts, the color of our love? Oh, you mean somebody publishes poetry that tastes like burning cities and deep-fried rage, pot liquor and prison? Oh, Mr. Dudley Randall, now I say, you were an important poet, a lovely man, a genius, a visionary of great generosity. But in the 1980s, I mostly thought you reserved and a bit old-fashioned. The suits you wore in the basement of the Alexander Crummell Center weren't good enough by my standards. You told us to really study poetry in all of its forms, and quoted Keats. In all those years, I thought the BP on my mother's friend's dress
meant Black Power. But in the 1980s, Dudley Randall told me, no, that's for Broadside Press. If you're going to be a poet, you need to know that.
Wow, we went to the same schools at the same team. This ain't nothing but family. We take stuff for granted here. We take stuff for granted here in Detroit. I mean, the genius just like sitting on front porches, working on their car, and they turn around. They know you did all that. That is extremely beautiful. We're going to keep it moving before we take our intermission. It's our Broadside board member, my sister, Aurora Harris. Aurora Harris was born in Detroit, of African American and Filipino parentage. She grew up in a Catholic and Muslim family where English, Spanish, Tagalog, and Ilocano was spoken. Aurora is currently a professor at the University of Michigan Dearborn and holds an MA in Social Foundations of Education from Eastern Michigan University and a bachelor's in sociology from Wayne State University. Harris is an activist, educator, poet, and mentor. Her poetry is drawn from a foundation of identity, history, and culture that includes family, women's lives, jazz, Detroit culture, and travel. She is a winner of the Penn Oakland Josephine Miles Multicultural Award for Excellence in Literature for her book Solitude and Five Black Moons. Aurora is a former member and coach of the Detroit National Poetry Slam team back in 1995 and 2004. Her poetry has been widely published in publications that include anthologies and journals, Rooting the Heartlands, Poets of the Midwest, Tilting the Continent, Southeast Asian American Writing, Drum Voices Review, and Educational Studies, a Journal of America. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Aurora Harris.
Thank you. Leslie left off on that poem about Dudley. And this poem is one that was published in the book, Solitude and Five Black Moons. It's a response poem to Dudley Randall's A Poet Is Not a Jukebox. We have some of the poets here from the Motown spoken word mic contest from last night. I served as a judge for that. So I wanted to shout out to all the poets who have been in that competition and who are here today. When we publish, Broadside Lotus publishes the winners of the Motown Mic Contest. But this poem was written when I was teaching in the Wayne County Juvenile Center with youth who, on the Boys and Girls Unit, who were incarcerated, and on the boys unit, some of them were up for murder, one as teenagers. A response to Dudley Randall's A Poet Is Not a Jukebox. So you wrote, a poet is not a jukebox, so don't tell me what to write. Well, I apologize, Dudley. I mean, I really feel you, but from my own deep bag of surviving and hearing about whips, cracking, gunfire, kerosene, visions of spit and screams, burning trees with melting black flesh, bayonets gutting pregnant Filipinas, shiny surgical knives in white physicians' hands, slicing wounds of unanesthetized black women to advance the science of gynecology and experiments that infected black men with syphilis, because whites believed blacks could not feel pain and were soulless. After 40 years of poetry, when the poets became jukeboxes, I asked them to write, and I had to tell them what to write, and teach them how to write, read, and spell, and move some sense of humanity in them, see? Get some sense of pride in them, you see? Get some self-respect, respect of elders, one another, and babies, you see? Cause when the poets became jukeboxes and wrote about what they feel and set their pens in motions, their ears were slots where quarters were top 10 clear channel quarter note bass beat repeated raps, and they were hypnotized into visions of looking rich while poor, and their heads became downloaded depositories of violence and self-destruction burned on CDs instead of wax. And unlike you, who wrote about love and consciousness, they write to call each other pimps, bitches, and hoes, cause fucking is not equated with romantic love. And to gangbang, have a train run on a little sister is normal rite of passage, where they think they have achieved womanhood, manhood, and gangster love means you gotta kill somebody, anybody, to fit in. And when violence, rape, and fucking to feed a need became continuing education on the streets, Love 101, located in the basement of the Department of Consumerism, and black love grew into a marketable change maker, and babies and babies and babies, pregnant with babies and babies having babies. The black family was built down into a reality of scholarly urban reports and billions of dollars in sales from marginalized welfare state single mothers caught like deer in fluorescent eyes of shopping malls, or they were captured in a room filled with the acidic stench of crack and weed smoke. And then teenage girls became females who were not alone when they reclined in the fog syndrome of pyro-hypnotic beats and latest market to blacks-only alcoholic drink fads, blunts, and chronic to escape into a sense of feeling wanted, and they aspired to be hoes by grinding hips out of week-old, grimy, smelling jeans hanging below asses and sliding out of borrowed or stolen thongs and G-strings. All of this was supposed to be Black America's fault. But when the poets became jukeboxes, I asked them to write from photos of burlap bags over lynched black faces, the bags of knotted crooked knuckles and spines of stereotypes called animals, barbarians, and primitives that were forced into a labor to forge a melting pot that A, could care less about Negroes that happened to be recognized, known, or identified as plain old American, B, destroyed and segregated the histories and knowledge of non-white people, and C, programmed American youth into thinking killing folks with your own skin color is normal without thinking once about vocabulary words like slavery, Selma, segregation, struggle, civil rights, liberation, voting, style, audience, theme, form, meter, or stanza. When the poets became jukeboxes, when juveniles got sentences called life without parole, I showed them more photos of war, the gun blasted decomposed faces of youth called mules. I asked them to write past the shocked, frozen, bulging eyes that saw death coming, write past poems against the dealers, agents, hustlers, and the recording industry, write against raping and prostituting as status symbols, and a new definition of black man or woman. When the poets became jukeboxes, my white, Hispanic, Asian, and Native American students replayed personas by acting black, or like black so-called hustlers, pimps, and hoes, because they think everyone in hip-hop culture acts that way when they don't. And when the poets became jukeboxes, they called me old school and too deep for making them think. When 60% of my students never held a gun, grew up in good homes with good parents, siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles, while the other 40% grew up in Halloween, Orange County juvenile jumpsuits, and at the age of 15 were up for murder one. And what was left of the girls was medicated into swollen-faced, weeping zombies to deal with rape, molestation, and being sold and running away. When the poets became jukeboxes, I read from and gave away copies of your book, The Black Poets, while playing Coltrane. I asked the poets to write like Etheridge Knight, because it will save your ass and mine in prison. Write like Naomi Long Matches Midway or Sonia Sanchez's, a chant for young brothers and sisters until your souls get right, and you can lift happy feet from these dingy yellow tiles to walk past cold cell bars, caked and flaking with the dry sweat and tears of children's desperate hands and faces. Right till you can walk without chains on your ankles, right past the hellhole, this stifling, sweltering, suffocating room of unbrushed teeth, belches and farts, my daughters, my sisters, my sons, my brothers, right like a million barakahs, numbers, letters, right past the empty, the shallow, the mediocre, cliched existence, the split-second moment of a thrill, the description of a girl as bitch, right past the hollow sense of love and reasoning found in Carol M. Rogers. Now ain't that love? Right about love, right of how love is supposed to last. What does it look like, smell like? Who gives real love? What is self-love? A bitch in the dictionary is a female dog or malicious female. Who can spell malicious? What is malicious? Look it up. What harm do you intend to do to yourself, your family, folks on the streets behind steel doors and bars? When the poets became jukeboxes controlled by radio airwaves and gangster rap videos, Coltrane's music made uncombed heads hurt for real notes, activating brain cells and polarized hemispheres that can only respond to bass on high, rattling speakers, and the brother screamed, "Shut it off! I'm starting to cycle!" And they began nervously bouncing one leg fast, rocking or pacing to keep from becoming violent and smashing the tape player. And I asked them to write. I told them the headache will not last. I asked them to try to listen to how Coltrane wrote poetry with feeling, spirituality, and moves through music. When the poets became jukeboxes, the poets covered their ears, and I shut Coltrane off because they began to sweat profusely. I saw eyes dart for red flashes and blue sparks, short-circuiting brains and confusing shells with nerves trying to communicate past calcified corpus callosum, and I watched them spit into each other's faces, their raps about killing each other or fucking hoes, and then I told them, hip-hop started out as a nonviolent social movement against gang fighting in the hood. So write a poem about one good thing about yourself or what we were like before we became gangsters. When the poets became jukeboxes, I played Coltrane's favorite things to settle the brothers, and I asked them to write about favorite things they did before thug life. Write self-consciousness and consciousness-raising poems. Write a vision of what a healthy family planning relationship or neighborhood looks like. What is the opposite of bread on shelves eaten by mice, slimy green or brown meat sold in our neighborhood's grocery stores? I apologize, Dudley, but when the poets became jukeboxes, I asked them to write poems like yours and poems you publish and the poets you publish. Breakdance words past monotonous popular beats of self-hate, destruction, lies, and violence. Write your life like it depended on a metaphor. After I said all that, most of the jukebox self-identified thugs and bitches broke down, wept, and began writing poems about being children again. Incarcerated. All right. The next one that we're going to do, we're going to transition to something lighter. With my good friend and colleague and sister friend, Mary Hayes and her band, we taught at U of M Dearborn. And I still teach there. I've been there for 14 years. So this last poem is something that I wanted to just put out for the young people and some of the students who may be here. Okay, so this one is called a mirror poem. I read it forward to backwards, and it's called We Speak the Same Language. For all the poets and jazz musicians. We speak the same language. In a sweat-lined night, I knew I would love you. Man, I felt you crunching the ends of dimensions once first. You were fine as jade in a bronze spotlight. Music was an unrolled scroll of dissonant timing. Long fingers thumping with regret. The cold footsteps of refinery workers on shaper. You were into the fingers, great iron dreams. The splintering sound of drumsticks breaking. The ambush of notes in your lungs. A circular breathing of sunrise. A circular breathing of sunrise. A circular breathing, a circular breathing, a circular breathing of sunrise. That night, we were blown through a splintered dream after clarity showed her face in the impermanence of our embrace. Disappearing. Disappearing. In the impermanence of our embrace. After clarity showed her face. That night, we were blown through a splintered dream. A circular breathing of sunrise, a circular breathing of sunrise, a circular breathing of sunrise, a circular breathing of sunrise. The ambush of notes in your lungs. The splintering sound of drumsticks breaking. You were intimate fingers, spring-eyed from dreams. The cold footsteps of refinery workers on shaper. Long, thick fingers thumping, winter breath. Music was an unrolled scroll of distant timing. You were fine as jade in a bronze spotlight. Man, I felt you quenching the edges of dimensions once apart. I knew I would love you in a sweat-lined night. We speak the same language. We speak the same language. Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is our improv.
Woo! Can y'all imagine riding? Me and Aurora worked on our graduate degrees, both in social foundation and Eastern at the same time. And I used to ride to Ypsilanti with her twice a week, listening to her work out these poems. And that's when I discovered how great she was. I'm like, everything come out of your mouth is poetic. Even when she's angry, even when she complaining, it's like turned into a poem. When she happy, it's just like, so this was like twice a week for 2 years. We were going back and forth to Eastern, and I was listening to Aurora in my head. And I want to give a shout out too real quick before we break. Bill and Carol Harris are here, but y'all know Bill Harris. Bill Harris, we had taken over the building at Wayne State, got Africana Studies Department created, and Bill Harris asked me for some students to speak at the Museum of African American History. And so Mama Nett recommended me. You paid me $50 to talk about my experience at White University. Now here I was, 21 years old. Now I'm a professional speaker because Bill Harris gave me $50 to tell my story. So we're going to take an intermission. We want you all to enjoy a little bit of the food, 15 minutes. Be back in your seat. Check out the book market. We have some wonderful publishers. Some of you may not have seen or heard of. And then we'll see you right back here in 15.